Beauty standards have formed how women are perceived over the millennia, and every culture has a different threshold. In the Samoan community, a big woman's body represents strength, status, and wealth. According to the Mursi people of Ethiopia, a big lip plate represents beauty and maturity. And in Southeast Asian countries, the whiter a woman's skin, then the more beautiful she is perceived to be. So, it does not come as a shock when a woman wants to change something about herself in order to be noticed, sometimes even at the extent of her own health being damaged. So today, we shed a light on the Somali community.
You can't separate beauty from culture, but you can embrace it. Unfortunately, the beauty standards in the Somali community are motivated by Western beauty standards, perceived social standing, and aggressive marketing standards, much of which do not align to their natural skin tones.
Who is defined as a beautiful girl in your community?
A light-skinned girl. In some communities, they will frown upon obesity, or let me say a curvy girl. In some communities, they will be like, you need to be more curvier, you need to have a good shape. So whenever there will be events or so on, you will always see these conversations like, my dear, you're dark, what happened? Are you not taking care of yourself? I have these creams, I have this alternative, this is what I'm using. So those have always been part of the conversation. So growing up, once you reach around teenage years, when you're starting to understand, trying to worry about your skin, now that's when you're like, okay, now these conversations are being brought up to you. So it will be coming from friends, it will come from aunties, even from cousins. So it's something that has been constantly, light skin has constantly been encouraged in the community, basically.
In order to feel seen and noticed, women have resorted to over-the-counter bleaching creams and agents. These creams, however, contain one thing many are not aware of: topical steroids.
I was telling you a story of when Ilenda Isli, and I went into one of the shops to buy these bleaching agents. In Somali, they're called kaskas. I was like, my girlfriend sent me, I want to buy for her something that will lighten her. And the girl was like, really? Yeah, okay. What's her budget like? I told him this amount. I was like, okay, so here it is. When I received it, it didn't have a label that was to tell me these are the ingredients A, ingredient B, ingredient C, ingredient whatever. And then when I asked him what are the contents, he drew some tubes. And when I look at the tubes, they are vitamin A derivatives, things like tretinoin. You'll find steroids inside. You'll find another extra tube of maybe a salicylic acid or something.
As you're having these conversations with your aunties and them telling you, I have these creams, I have this, that, did they tell you about how they were using them?
Yeah, they will be very detailed about it. They will be like, use it at night, apply it after bathing. If you want more effect, use this clean film or a nylon paper to cover it up, and then sleep with it. And then when you wake up, take a bath in the morning, like that. It becomes more intense during wedding preparations. They will be like, now you have to use it thrice. You have to bathe 3 times and then reapply, bathe, reapply, like that.
So whatever topical steroids do is they're basically melanin inhibitors. So you now get the lightening of the skin from inhibiting the main ingredients that in your skin that usually trigger the melanin formation. So you traverse from point A to point B just by that simple mechanism. But it doesn't stop there. The more it's used, the more there's dermal absorption. The more there's dermal absorption, the more it messes up with your hypothalamic pituitary axis in terms of controlling certain hormones in your body. So now, you now get that if I've used these steroids for long, the challenges that I would face would now stem towards acne problems. Continuously, the longer I use, would now stem towards blood pressure problems. The more continuous I use, diabetes comes in. And none of this are aspects that people would look at and say, okay, this is a causal relationship to it.
There's particular beauty standards with one close to white skin, but also like a moon shape in your face. And this is a part of the things that they hope they'll be able to achieve by using these creams and products that contain the topical steroids?
I can't really fully say that the moon face is everyone's ideal picture.
Yeah.
The triggers behind it would stem from the socio-cultural aspect. Yes, I would agree to that. But again, it doesn't have to be, as an individual, I have to fit into what the society wants, especially if I know if it's coming at a cost to me. I'll give you an example. We had a very interesting conversation with a friend and a doctor who works in Garissa. When we were discussing, she was like, sometimes she would see patients who would end up in ICU after being advised to take a certain steroid tablet to move their body weight from being skinny to being chubby, and with the desire of getting into the figure 8 aspect. Yeah. But now, the selling point is not the same one. Why am I saying this? You're chasing a figure 8 body, light skin and everything, but whatever this drug is going to give you is the following things. 1, the moon face that you've mentioned. 2 is truncal obesity. 3 is stretch marks. 4 is low bone density. 5 is potential diabetes, hypertension. And this patient specifically we were discussing about ended up in ICU because of a diabetic emergency.
With the use of these creams, has anything been noticed? Has there been any health issues?
Most of them, when you bring this conversation, they'll be like, I'm not using the bad stuff. Like the stuff I'm using are safe, because they haven't seen the effects. The effects start taking root like 6 years later on. And by then, most of them, like the ones that I've grown up around, none of them have mentioned that long-term effects.
So they get an issue. Yeah. Then now they go back to the vendor who sold them the Kaskas so that they can now be able to get another dose to fix the problem that the previous dose of Kaskas gave them. So
ironically, that's how.
What happens when they go to visit a specialist like a dermatologist?
Most of the time, the epidermis is already gone. Then now they have had severe reactions of skin thinning. They have started having even hormonal issues. Then that's when they don't even go to the dermatologist first. Sadly, they start seeing the symptoms. They will go to a general MO. They will be like, I'm having I'm having insomnia. They will just mention those like vague symptoms. I'm usually fatigued. I can't go upstairs. I'm having this severe fever. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm constantly sick. Like I'm having severe diarrhea. Some of them will be presenting. So they have these vague general symptoms and they will go to the MOs first. And then you find by the time they end up and realize, oh, this is a skin issue, they've been going from one specialist to another. Like they've already like tried all like opinions, and then they come to the dermatologist and be like, have you checked your skin? And they'll be like, okay, now they do that, they scan their skin, the epidermis is gone. So now the dermatology has a lot of work to do, from like trying to actually convince them to stop, if they willing to stop it, that is.
Do they usually admit to using Kaskas?
Some do, some outwardly deny. And majority will actually deny. They will be like, no, I'm not using that. I'm just using this vitamin E. These are healthy, just lightening, brightening thing. But from even like when we're having conversations with dermatologists, most of the products that have these brightening, skin lightening features on it, they usually have some content of steroids. But they will be like, now when you mix several portions and different ratios of it, you end up having a higher dosage of that steroid content. But they will outwardly deny. They'll be like, this thing has helped me with my acne. What are you saying? So they will mostly in denial. Before they get to that stage of actually understanding is when they've actually gotten really sick.
Eventually, do you feel like this leads to particular dependence on that instant glow that keeps people hooked on it? So it's almost a form of addiction.
Yes, I see it every day. To try and convince someone to stop and to wait for results is one of the biggest challenges, especially when you're trying to remove this topical steroids away from the picture. The reason is they've seen the performance as part of the short-term effects. And the only time that they now get to stop is when the long-term effects come in. Sometimes I can give you all the information that you need in terms of how you're going to take care of your skin, but the buck stops with you. It's upon you to listen. It's upon you to choose what information you've been given and selectively either put it to use wholly or pick certain aspects of it and trash the other ones. There is an aspect called body dysmorphia. This is where people are not comfortable with their skin. It's part of something called the OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder complex. In that aspect, when someone is in having the body dysmorphia aspect, let's say I don't like my nose, I'll always have the obsession of like, shit, I don't like this. I see Bamba, I need to do this. When you say I need to do something about it, you've now got into the compulsion aspect, and you doing it is you've sorted out the compulsion. So why did I mention this? The OCD body dysmorphia aspect does not consider bleaching as something that should be put in the curriculum. So this is a conversation that needs to be had with the psychiatric departments in Kenya. Yes.
Let's talk about short-term and long-term effects. What I know you've mentioned a few, but maybe you could just outline some of these for us. What are some of the long-term and short-term effects of the continuous use of products with these topical steroids?
All right. So short-term effects. Short-term effect is obviously the lightening. People love that. It's very much sold as the main thing. Get light skin in 5 days. That's whatever is on the labels. A few weeks into use, what happens is the lightening comes in, but it also comes in with a cost. The cost being you won't be able to tolerate the sun. You find that your skin gets quite red or your skin color changes when you're in the sun. 2 is you always feel heat or warmth on your face, like you're burning as if you have a fever, but you don't really have a fever. The only thing is more localized on your face. The other thing is more consistent use. You now notice this integrity and the structure of your skin depletes by around 60 to 70%. That's why you notice this droopiness of the eyes. There's a bit of darkening around. You're left with pigmented patches. You are running away. Let's say if the motivation was to treat a pigmentary disorder, you used the lightening creams, specifically the topical steroids, to achieve the effect. But there's a rebound hyperpigmentation. And this doesn't come from the previous condition that you were treating. It comes from these topical steroids. Why? The topical steroids would strip away the initial layers of your skin. Now, a bit of the dermis is a bit visible. And we know that the dermis has blood vessels. So now the redness comes in from there. And whenever the sun touches on anything that has blood vessels quite visible, it's obviously going to leave a patch of darkness. So now you have to deal with that separately. More long-term use, we now look at systemic illnesses. This is where your heart comes into play, the biomechanical processes of you regulating your blood sugar levels, also in a haribika. You also look at your hormones also being messed up. So you now find changes in either thyroid disorders start coming in, and other endocrine issues also start coming in. Your fertility levels can also be affected if more long-term use. The reason is this. The agents that are marketed as topical steroids and bleaching agents do not only contain steroids as the sole factor. They contain mercury, they contain hydroquinone, and they contain lead. These are heavy metals and they come with a degree of toxicity.
What about withdrawal? So let's say someone is listening to this and they think, I think it's time for me to stop. What would be the withdrawal effect?
Whenever someone is stopping steroids, there is a steroid withdrawal syndrome that can come in. Well, some of the symptoms are like feeling fatigued, nausea, vomiting. Those are basically some of the symptoms they would feel. To try and prevent that, you do not stop cold turkey. Yeah. If someone is using it daily, you now have a plan with them and you now instruct them, okay, you need to stop this slowly. If you use it daily, go to like maybe alternate days, you skip 1 day. If you're using it maybe 3 times a week, go to twice a week. Eventually, until it might take like a 3-week period or a 4-week period to eventually quit. During this time, you have to work with them and whatever concerns they have, which majority can be dry skin, irritation, redness, burning, all of that. And there are medications that can be used to try and sort that out.
What are healthy ways that you can advise someone to actually be able to take care of their skin without having to look at these drastic measures?
To see an improvement in your skin, there has to be aspects of hydration that you need to stick to. Number 2, put your skin to use. What do I mean by this? Is your skin has sweat glands, it has pores. When you're putting it to use by, let's say, actively working out, you're allowing the excretory function of your skin to work. So if you do the bare minimum, which is drink water, exercise it, there's a difference in appearance already between someone who does that and someone who doesn't. The rest are basic additives, which is now the skincare, the medication, the moisturizers to use or the lotions to use, and which soaps to use, which ones are more friendly to your skin. Those are other things that we could do as an additional to now fully boost. But the basic bare minimum are 2 to 3 things: hydration, putting the skin to use in exercise, and sunscreen as a protective layer to prevent UV radiation-related aging.
Tell us about Bold in Your Tone.
Okay. The Bold in Your Tone is actually a community-based initiative that I started after writing this research paper on topical steroid effect in Somali community. I started this mostly to just create an awareness, not to shame my community. I'm just put them on attention, you're doing this, and then all of them have their own stories and there's no judgment. But mostly it's just to help them understand. Did you know that this thing you're using is actually causing this in long term?
There's something that you'd mentioned earlier when we were talking just before we started rolling about the factors that also contribute to these topical steroids affecting your health, being the area, the hygienic outlook of the area that has caused the immunity of the place to go down, because everything is everywhere.
Yeah.
Just run me through that one more time.
All right. So we can go ahead and mention the area, right? Isli. Isli is basically the hub of where these beauty products are found. But you have to keep into mind why Isli is an overpopulated with hospitals, because the answer is the population is a bit sick. Why is the population sick? The population is sick because 1, crowding, 2, contamination of water, 3, contamination of air, 4, contamination of food, so many restaurants around. 5 is now this aspect of the steroids. What steroids do is they are immunosuppressive. They'll always continuously lower your immunity. So you now become more receptive to the mildest of illnesses. You'll find people are going to hospital for flu. Flu is something that if you hydrate properly, take maybe paracetamol to control with the fevers, and have enough antioxidants in fruits, you'll be sorted in maybe 5 days, 7 days at most. But because the immunosuppressive aspect has already kicked in, you now found that there's a profoundness of their symptoms. So you now get significant fevers, significant body pain, significant headaches, and now you have to go to the hospital. So yes, it's the topical use of these things is quite overlooked, but the repercussions are heavy. Yeah.
What about to now the other side? Because definitely when we're talking about the users of these creams and these products, it's mostly the women.
Yeah.
So what about the other side now for the men? Because as well, a lot of the pressure that the women are coming under is from a place of they need to be able to satisfy this other gender by being able to check the boxes off their list.
I'll tell them, be careful with your comments. Some of the things they will tell you, majority of the conversations that I've had also with my cousins, my male cousins, or general male, whenever I find a Somali male will try to strike this conversation, they'll be like, it's not a major factor for me. I'm not pushing for a light skin, but you appreciating a light skinned girl more than a dark skinned girl is already a way of you putting that standard.
It's already saying something.
Yeah, it's already saying something. You also, when you get a marriage prospect and then now just having a look at the picture and you're like, she's ugly. But the only fault in that is that she's darker. That is already saying a lot. So be sensitive with your comments, be more understanding, be more appreciative of the dark skin, and don't put much concentration on the appearance wherever there's a marriage prospect. I think I would say that.